So there is a psychological operation of sorts going on right now, and I'm still trying to figure out all the details because some of it's just conflicting. But what I'm about to say, I guess, I'm assuming will probably anger a lot of people, but I'm about facts over feelings, and the name of my channel is Jennifer Veterans for Truth, which also means that I'm also for the active duty service members. And there's something going on that people seem to be just really glancing over or not really adding up, okay? First, I just want to go over this really quick. This came out just a couple days ago. Should low-income military families get a food allowance? White House says no. The Trump administration has already weighed in, taking issue with advocates' characterization of this situation as well as the need for the bill. In a statement released July 9th, the White House said it strongly objected the provision because service members receive appropriate compensation already. Just recently, the current administration passed the biggest Department of Defense, Pentagon, whatever budget ever, $750 billion or something like that. And everybody is so excited because, you know, he got a couple $1 billion to be tapped for the wall, seemingly. Well, if you would have read the fine print, it's actually not. It's for the existing wall to be upgraded. But even besides that, I'm sure most of you heard that we had like 19 Marines and a couple Navy sailors that were arrested for human trafficking, taking people from across the border from Mexico into California. And I honestly was shocked at the comments that people that consider themselves patriots were commenting on that news story. Of course, no, doing something like that is not right. But I want you to think about something. I want you to think about if you were putting your life on the line for this country and being paid crap for it, and you pretty much couldn't even pay all your bills, and you see your politicians and all of these lobbyists and all of these people doing some of the most egregious things. And not only that, just the way that they are spending our taxpayer dollars and the laws that they're passing and the things that they're doing. Yet you're making a measly $25,000 a year, barely making it by, while you see what they are doing or what they have you deployed for. Let me ask y'all, what do you think we're in Afghanistan for? I'm sure a lot of people know, but I'm sure some people don't. Do you think we're there to bring democracy to their country? No. No, we're not. We've been there for 2 decades. You know what we're doing? We're watching and guarding the poppy fields. You don't know what a poppy is? That's how they make heroin. Sorry. It's the 90% of the opium comes from those fields. I'm sure some people are going to not believe it, so I just wanted to show just a handful of pictures of this going on, besides for the fact that I know people that have had to do this, and it's not that they want to, and some of them don't really know that the extent of what's going on. In the military, you just do your job. Don't ask questions type of thing. In 2001, the Taliban actually almost eradicated the entire poppy farms, all of them, went down to literally like barely a bleep. Here's a graph right here, 2001. And now they are cultivating the most they've ever done. Remember, we were told by our current administration that he was going to get rid of all the opium coming in from all these foreign countries and all of these things. That hasn't happened. And we're actually supporting it. We make estimates say somewhere around $105 billion from those opium farms, which has killed countless people. I think it is 115 people a day die of drug overdoses. 2/3 of that is heroin or some type of opium. That is a fact. But yet we are going to condemn these Marines and sailors for bringing a couple of people over the border for $8,000 a piece. 1 in 4 children of military members qualify for free or reduced lunch. Well, actually that's free. I don't know about the reduced. It's probably higher than that. 1 in 4, that's 25%. That means they are living below the poverty line. Our U.S. military. And yes, this has been going on, but I'm making a point that nobody seems to care. They want to talk about build a wall and do all these things, when we have service members risking their freedom and their livelihood to make it $8,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, to bring. They're not bringing like criminals over here. Let's be real. And a lot of people that serve are immigrants, so it could be even their family members. I'm not going to make that assumption, but it's possible. But when you have our service members living below the poverty line, can you honestly blame them? If you met this nice family in Mexico that was being threatened by the cartel, and it's this mother and a couple of kids, maybe even a father, who knows, whatever, and they offer to pay you a couple of $1,000s to bring them into California. California doesn't care anyway. And you're like, you weigh the options and you're like, well, this is a good family, rather than what we're allowing in, which is anybody in that can cross the border. Can you honestly blame them? When we're giving the military a measly 2.4% raise, and our current administration is calling that the biggest raise in a decade. And then this year, I guess it's going to be 3% raise. A 3% raise. You know, we could give the entire military a 15% raise, which would do away with all of this, and it would only cost about $20 billion. Right now, if you actually divided how much they make, and anybody that's been in the military, you realize this, we make less than minimum wage. But when you're in places like California, where it is so outrageously expensive to live, what are your other options? In 2016, families spent about $67 million in food stamps at the commissary. If you don't know what the commissary is, that's where military people go to grocery shop because the prices are low. And anyway, so that's all they can account for. So that means at least $67 million of people in the military are having to be on food stamps. Are you okay with that? Are we willing to trade another 20 planes for feeding our military? I'm not. It's silly, especially when we have civilian mercenaries working in Afghanistan. For every one U.S. military service member, we have 3 civilian mercenaries or civilian security contractors in Afghanistan. We also have them in Iraq, but the majority of them are in Afghanistan. You know how much they make? $500 to $1,500 a day. it's hard to get hard numbers, but that's some of them make up to $14,000 a week. Doing this essentially the same thing that our soldiers are doing, but they're getting paid tons of money to do it. In the 2011 multi-year commission of wartime commission, they did a study. I mean, I guess it's like an audit, okay? They found that at least 31 to $60 billion was found in waste and fraud from these civilian contractors, charging thousands of dollars for hammers. And I can attest to that, because whenever I was in, we were only allowed to order things out of this one magazine. It was $25 for a box of Bic pens. I was like, can't I just go get these at the store down the road for $2? And they're like, no, you have to order it from here. So that's because of the lobbyist. So all of this money, all of this waste, fraud, and everything is going to fund black projects and line the pockets of these lobbyists and these CEOs of companies like DynCorp, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, whatever, you can go on. And all the while, our military is making crap wages. And then we are going to call them out for bringing a couple people over the border. I just don't understand. It's not right. But what would you do in that situation? What would you do in the situation that you cannot pay your car bill or whatever bill it is that you have, and you see, okay, I wouldn't do it. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying you see how they have been put into this situation, and they're like, well, they're nice people, so at least we'd rather have nice people over here than some gangbangers. You see how they could bring that into their thought process, especially when I find it funny when people were all outraged that service members were bringing drugs over through military aircraft and stuff like that. Here's a secret, y'all. They've been doing that forever. Forever. Iran-Contra? Yeah, that's another thing. It's funny how people, these patriots, same patriots, these patriots that are very uninformed about everything, talking about William Barr like he is some kind of amazing person. He covered up for Iran-Contra. He allowed Oliver North and Elliot Abrams and all of these guys to be pardoned. No big deal. Yep, you're running drugs and multiple people were killed from the Contras. No big deal. Actually, let's just put Oliver North in charge of the NRA. What a wonderful idea. Not really a great idea. But you see how people can see these things going on and they're like, God dang, this is pretty crappy. I mean, I remember working alongside civilians and they would tell me how much they were making and I was like, are you kidding me? We're doing the same job. And so it's about 3 times as much, and then they have 3 times as many. So for just in Afghanistan, but we have them in Iraq and other places that can't be talked about. But yet we're going to degrade these Marines and sailors and all of this stuff when we know darn good and well what some of the Secretary of States have done, some of the presidents have allowed to happen, some of the current administrations have allowed to happen. If you really cared about our military and their well-being, they would not be going. Well, they would not be forced to go to food pantries. 25% of the military in California visit food pantries at some point in time. That is sad. That is absolutely sad. So maybe instead of us holding the little guys accountable, maybe we can hold our politicians accountable and stop being Republican versus Democrat and this and that. It's gone on forever with the Republicans, with the Democrats, with all of them. Yet we are sitting here throwing nobodies in jail while politicians are lining their pockets with millions of dollars. Nobody can make $170,000 a year and in 4 years be a multimillionaire without insider trading deals, lobbyist money, most of which get positions to go work for the lobbyists. That's why a lot of them quit this being in Congress, is to go work for the lobbying groups. Nikki Haley did it. As soon as she quit, she got on the board of Boeing. Not shocking. But do y'all see what I'm talking about? They want you to focus on the issues that mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. All the while, they are taking our taxpayer dollars and doing erroneous, crazy crap with it. But building a wall, that wall, actually it's not even building a wall, it's redoing a wall that's already there. Those billions of dollars could easily give at least a 10% raise to the junior enlisted. Easily. It could probably give a 20% raise to anyone E5 and below, or even E4 and below, whatever. Because those are usually the ones that are seen, you know, having to use the food stamps and these food pantries and whatnot. WIC and all of these services that, oh no, we're against that, right? That's socialist. That's crazy. We can't be giving that away to these lazy people. These lazy people. That's what we say. Oh no, you know, they're just lazy bums. Get a job. They're serving our country. And they're having to go to the food pantry or get food stamps. But that we're going to focus on that. On them smuggling a couple of people from Mexico in. Why don't we look at the big picture? The big issues. That was wall-to-wall coverage. And I've told you, anytime there's wall-to-wall coverage of any incident, there's always something else going on. Always. And I'll probably make some people upset about this, but my guess about this would be the Epstein case. Alan Dershowitz, our current administration, all of these people are very closely connected to all of these people. People forget that our current administration was a Democrat for many years. Most of his adult life, really. We need to really think about who we're supporting and what we're supporting, and that we're not just basing things on our emotions, and we're actually looking at what's going on, not being distracted, not allowing people to go back and forth and, oh, but it's this, it's that, we're going to get angry about this and that. That's what they want you to do. Rather than reaching out to someone that maybe just cussed you out, whatever, that's on the left, and they say you're a racist, bigot, message them, talk to them. This left-right paradigm has gotten us here, and it will keep us here until we decide enough is enough. There's one thing that the elites are actually afraid of. One thing. You know what that is? The power of the people. That is the main reason they keep us divided, fighting amongst each other, distracted by silly stories on TV and all of these things. They know that if we all realize that they actually work for us, and if we say, no way, not happening, and we start working together, aside from our differences, they would be screwed. That's the only way to fix this issue. Our country is in a down spiral. And if you actually want to do something, that's what you're going to have to do. Stop being blind to the things that you know in your heart are wrong. Y'all have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe.